Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to this panel discussion, fireside chat. So today, our topic for this fireside chat is the rise of digital banking is creating new cyber threat. Are you ready for it? So my name is Jenius. I am from PwC. I work for PwC Cybersecurity Practice. And today I'm sitting here with my fellow panelists. So two of them, Samuel and Stephen, they are from virtual banks in Hong Kong, and Leonard is from Kaspersky. So before I go ahead, I just like to pass the time to them to also introduce myself. So maybe starting from you, Samuel, if you don't mind to introduce yourself.
Yep, sure, why not? Hello, guys. This is Samuel, Head of Cybersecurity in VLab Bank. So the first homegrown, Hong Kong homegrown virtual bank licensed by this HKMA. So VLab's mission is to try to understand the customer needs and try to design a personalized banking experience to our customers. So I'm heading the cybersecurity team and responsible to implement all the security strategies, policies and procedures, security architectures and stuff. So that's about me.
Hey, thank you. So Stephen, over to you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Okay, my name is Stephen Fall. I am also like Samuel from one of the Hong Kong virtual bank from the Leafy Bank. I'm the head of technology risk management. So I am responsible for the second line defense of the bank. So we have the first line here and second line also for the virtual
perfect.
bank.
And also the hacker here as well. So yeah, let's so we have the hacker, we have the victim. Virtual banks, and let's have the defense vendor come in, Leonard also.
Yeah. So I hope I'm the defense. Okay. So hi everyone. So my name is Leonard, and I'm from Kaspersky. So I'm running the pre-sales team from Kaspersky Asia Pacific, based in Singapore now. For those who are not aware, Kaspersky is one of the largest privately owned security vendors out there. We cover the whole range of solutions, everything from endpoint threat intelligence and most things there. So I specifically run pre-sales, where my job, I work with customers around Asia Pacific, banks, financial institutions and all others, to help them to defend against the hackers or the bad guys, the attackers there. Yep.
Nice, Leonard. So actually, maybe I should also talk a little bit about myself. So obviously, Samuel, Stephen, Leonard knows me pretty well. So again, I'm in PwC. So I had the red team as red teams in PwC, and also do quite a bit of incident response work. So hence, I am the hacker in terms of this panel, but I'm also obviously the moderator. So today, my job is to hack the brain of all the experts on this panel, so that everyone can give more knowledge back to our audience here. So actually, maybe before I jump into the first question, so maybe just personally, just a little bit about digital banking, right? So virtual banks, I think, is really changing how the financial services landscape is. So that is quite a bit different from what we are used to. And from my own work, when I do security assessments for virtual banks, traditional banks, I do see quite a lot of differences. So there are good and bad opportunities and places for improvements as well. So hoping to share more around this, and also maybe Leonard can also, because Leonard is from Singapore, sits in Singapore, so he can probably also give us a little bit more insight of how these digital banking trends are actually moving across the Asia Pacific region. So all right, So maybe Leonard, sorry, you have something to say first, Leonard?
No. Yeah, just go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So sorry. So maybe I'll just kick off with the first questions first. So I'm just going to ask, especially our virtual banking experts, and Leonard, you can answer also, obviously. So I just about what do you see as the biggest cyber threat that you see within the financial sector, financial industry just now? So I think the audience will get your chance to poll also, but just want to get the view from the actual banks Maybe Samuel, if you don't mind, you can start first.
Yep. Okay. The biggest threat I will split into two parts. The poll that you sent the question, I actually clicked human mistakes. So what I really worry about the cyber threat is actually, well, besides all the ransomware, phishing attacks, and all those common stuff, because we rely, like WeLab Bank, we rely a lot on the cloud infrastructure. More than 90% of our infrastructures are all in the cloud, and it's a lot of lean process and a lot of lean infrastructure where we utilizes microservices, Kubernetes, containers, and stuff. So our operational costs can be go as at a very minimum level. However, the cloud infrastructure management console is actually on one part. So we worry about the single point of failure. And like why I say human mistake is that we worry about cloud jacking. I mean, because our management console is on a centralized part. Of course, centralized can facilitate convenience, but security-wise, it will be another problem, you see. So we really worry on that. So we actually work really hard to design using a different type of way to design the access control to our management console. So we actually utilize securing the basics. We use AD. We use AD to control, like I mean, public cloud infrastructure you can access through public internet. But however, we force our administrator to go through our infrastructure itself, then only go to the infrastructure. So we actually limit the pathway for them. So that's how we do the governance control. Because Cloud Console is publicly available, the attack surface is too big. So we have to keep the path keep a very narrow path for them to do their work. So the second part is insider threat. We cannot run away from that because a lot of insiders, they have access to a lot of control, microservices and stuff. So they have, I would say they have a lot of privilege to do things and to actually take down a bank or maybe conduct an attack or maybe a human error and stuff. But if you don't give them the privilege, they cannot work, you see. So it's I think the toughest part is to balance between both of that. And the threat will come from these two parts, which is from the cloud jacking and from insider threat itself.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Samuel. So yeah, I think I'm not sure, Stephen, you have more to add first before.
Yeah, actually, I totally agree with what Samuel says. Insider threat and human mistake is one of the actually the biggest cyber threat to the company, because I think I see. Sorry, because I keep looking on the polls. It's very interesting. Is keep growing. Human mistake and phishing attack is fighting together. They are high, and then phishing attacks seems grow more right now. But it is actually one con two faces questions, because phishing attacks the intention is to try to see is there anyone will carelessly make some human mistake in order to let the attacker to.
So it's a bit of the same thing, right?
Yeah, it is a one con two faces. Yeah, it's a front side or back side. So I think because I think a lot of audience that if you some of you is working in Hong Kong banking environment, you know that Hong Kong MA are actually very concerned about phishing attacks in this 2020, and they have actually sent a lot of circulars, reminders to the banks, to the AIs that you need to have some prevention actions against phishing attack, especially with the COVID-19, and also it also due to the pandemic. It also introduced a new kind of cyber threats that in the form of human mistake and phishing attack the same, but is called work from home situation. That means in the past, okay, we have phishing attack, we have internal threats, we have human mistake, but one thing our cybersecurity professionals can do is close the door, keep you all inside the office, and lock up all the things.
Yeah.
You can't go out until you're off duty. Then I still have a safe environment. What we call is a cage. I cage you inside the office. But right now you have your freedom. You're released from your prison. You work from home. So your network, your environment, all the things like that is certainly out of control from us.
Yeah.
That actually,
No doubt.
yeah, the attack is the same. It's still phishing. It's still human mistake, but the control is certainly, I can't say the control is weakened, but the challenge is greater than before.
Yep.
And that is also why that UNC Hong Kong MA keep reminding the AIs, and also they have instruction on how you handle work from home situations. And if I think some of the participants in Hong Kong banking, you probably will receive the HCAP, Hong Kong AB's, recently a documents from the PCPT, the documents talking about how to protect customer data when your staff is working from home. It is actually quite a comprehensive documents with a lot of things need to do. And my bank is still doing a gap analysis on that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a very challenging time for us right now.
Absolutely.
I can compliment on the phishing attack from Stephen's point. I mean, we received a lot of phishing emails during the COVID period. A lot are COVID team. But then in VLab, we always say data is our best friend. So we collect all the phishing emails that we block. So we we organize the data into top 40 most high-risk email users in VLab. And then we send them extra awareness training. So how do we collect this? It's like everyone knows VLab CEO is Simon Long. So from the detection part, right, we see a lot of emails coming in. They were trying Simon Long at VLab.co, Long Simon at VLab.co, L.Simon, Simon.L. So because of the reputation of them, so they receive more phishing emails. So we list out top 40 high-risk users and we give them extra awareness training. Because coming from a red team experience myself, I would attack the HR people. I mean, implanting a malware in a CV and then send to the HR or talent acquisition people. So that extra awareness training we also give to the HR people as well. So we always try to use defensive people with an offensive mindset.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Actually, Samuel, I mean, you used to work with us, so probably we kind of fall into the same mindset also. So very interesting. And especially, actually, I'm quite impressed with what the VB is doing in terms of the front of using data and user automation. I mean, I know both of you quite well, so I hope I can say that as well. And to me, when I speak to various people and myself, I think I also come up with the mindset that I thought VB is really around to try to deliver. The goal is actually to deliver quality, high quality banking services, but in a more lean manner. So you don't need so many manual processes. So as much as possible, you try to do automation. And Samuel, I know for a fact that I mean, you just mentioned for a fact that you do use a lot of cloud infrastructure and to that end, Kubernetes and etc. Here at PwC, when we work with some of our clients, we also see that they do a lot of automation. And when we start to talk about compliance as code, in terms of, in fact, we are looking at the trend of how to actually automatically map, say, HKMA regulatory requirements into something that can be automatically monitored and also automatically remediated in the cloud infrastructure, making use of the automation that are already in place at cloud infrastructure. So I thought that was quite impressive. And also to Stephen's point, also now putting on my hacker hat. So I would say yes. Actually, yeah, it's a bit unfair to separate C and D, because probably they are actually. If I think I can probably just put them together. So I'm looking at 70% says that it's human mistake. I mean, human human angle. Yeah. So well, I mean, it's same, bit the same and also a bit different. But in terms of I think phishing attacks, we'll talk about how the attackers try to make use of the environment, right? And in fact, the working from home thing, we do see this year there is a huge increase in incidents related to remote access, and actually some of them end up being actually a lot of them end up ending being ransomware. There are quite a number of other incidents as well, but one of the common theme is the fact that from an organization that does not have work from home in place, once they want to do work from home, as in they seems to quite a few of them, as I see personally, did that in a haste, and that meant leaving out holes like we see vulnerabilities that were unpatched for over a year. So previously it was not open to the internet, but due to the work from home, they have to open it up in a haste without the correct cybersecurity controls in place. But again, I know for a fact that in both Samuel and Stephen's bank, that work from home is very normal already. Being a virtual bank, you kind of have all this technology already in place. So that's really good actually.
Yep. So just to add on, sorry, Genius, what you're saying, right? So I guess working from home, across APAC, across industries as well, we're also seeing the same issue where suddenly people, pandemic, work from home. Some of the organizations we've seen ask the users, please use your own personal laptop because we don't have enough to send out. And there was a stage where suppliers just ran out of laptops. There was just no stock. So use your own laptop. And this caused issues because your home laptop, your family use it to play games, your family use it to go online shopping. You do not know what's on their laptop, but now they're forced to allow this laptop to enter into your network to do work. You do not know what's going on there. So again, I guess it boils down to the human again, right? To making sure that, okay, I'm using you're using your personal laptop, but make sure you're doing the proper things, you're doing safely there.
Yeah.
Don't do funny things and there. I think based on the poll, it's pretty interesting, right? Phishing human. I'm just wondering, could human mistake, could it also be referring to from the developers or from the IT point of view? You see, because I'm hearing there's a lot of automation in place, right? You want to reduce costs, you want to automate things. I recall, I think just recently I heard this is not in APAC, in the US, right? There was a case where because of automation, right now, in all these cloud services, and when cloud services was first launched, you will go in there, I want to spin up, you will click, you will manually spin up. But right now, you will turn it on using code. But if your initial microservices, right? But if your initial code is wrong, right, and embed some vulnerability there, imagine there's a mistake there, and now you're spinning it up because you need to ramp up. You spin out to 10, 20 servers. This same vulnerability now exists across there. So it also could be an unintentional human mistake, which I guess could lead to this kind of vulnerabilities.
Actually, that's quite interesting. Maybe Samuel is jumping to answer this already, but let me try to answer. Speak up for that also. I think on that part, right? That's not different in terms of a traditional infrastructure and cloud infrastructure. But what I see as an advantage in cloud infrastructure, in fact, is the speed that you can use to remediate these problems. So because it only takes one click to spin it up, you also kind of take another click to turn it back down, or you can actually replace partial of the microservices with an updated version and kind of bring that over. So maybe Samuel can tell us more, but that's what I see basically.
Yeah, I can compliment on Jenius' statement because utilizing all these microservices, it is a very lean operating system, I would say, because running services like maybe a Postgres or NewDB and online services like that, you don't need a whole operating system to host that service. You just run that service itself with the Linux kernel behind and stuff like that. So that would help into our patch management. The patch management will be much easier on 2 points. Number one is you don't have to patch the whole operating system. And like what Leonard said, you have more and more servers, you have to patch more and more servers, you see. And second part is to actually, like, you want to upgrade one MS SQL service or maybe new DB. You can just keep the persistent drive there without touching the data. Just swap out the services from the old one to the new one. And it helps a lot in your patch management.
Yeah. So I think that I also agree with Samuel actually. So I still do. I mean, obviously I might be a bit biased, but I think I'm more towards clouds, how to best utilize such cloud services to actually provide better cybersecurity. And in terms of human mistakes, right? I also want to add, me as in my profession, I've done red teaming for a wide range of organizations, from casinos, banks, transportation companies, logistics, etc. So what I see is quite common is the fact that even in an environment that is fully patched, so there's no vulnerabilities at all, it is always some legacy issues that are left behind. So it's always going to be a certain Windows XP box that is put on one side that cannot be upgraded, or it is going to be a service account that was created 20 years ago with a very easy password that nobody actually take notice. So it's kind of spawn from all these kind of issues. And also just to add, when I do red teaming for some of the more modern, I shouldn't say the word more modern, the leaner organizations such as VB, I find that the difficulty is that a lot of these tactics, TTPs, the tactics, techniques and procedures that are used to attack such legacy issues are simply not there. We kind of need to come up with new TTPs in order to attack the same. So the attack surface is very different from a hacker perspective. So that's really one of the things that I thought, is quite true. All right, so I think why not we move on to the second question also. The fact that so just now we also talk about how the landscape is changing. I think especially more to Stephen, because I know Stephen have been around in the industry for quite a while, especially the banking part. So what do you think, say, in the last 10 years, how do you think the trend have changed, and how do you foresee that to change in the future?
I just afraid that you are saying that I'm an old guy because
no, actually I'm not. I want to add on and say that you still look very young.
But actually, choose that. I think one of the trend that keep changing is that, especially for that web jacket guy, the web team guy showing what he mentioned is that the attacking vector is changing, especially right now. As I think many people keep talking about that right now, the cyber attack is no longer by human interaction, not by human hacker that stand behind the typing all the time. They also use the same tools like us for defending, like the AI, the NLP, and all type of tools, big data, and all things like that, in order to make the attack more efficient. Right now you can see that right now you can see a lot of phishing email actually is not typed by a person. It's actually generated by tools. It's a mass spreading email. It can be just one click and then thousands or millions phishing email to different parties. And you can buy a website email address very easy, buy those that website and anything. Okay, make sure you are not doing illegal things in here. I'm not encouraging you go to those areas and buy something illegal.
Me too. I'm an ethical hacker, remember.
This is also one thing that I would like to hear and to share with us more on the vendor perspective, because things keep changing. The attack is more automated. That means the defense side no longer just keep a team here, have people working in 3 shift and looking at 7x24 all the days, because you can't respond fast enough, because the attack is also actually not manual anymore. So my expect is that in the future, in the next 10 years, is a battle between machine and machine, because the hacker is using AI machine and the defender is using the same thing. So how about from vendor side, how you see in the future, what we are facing in this war?
So, I mean, exactly what you said is correct, right? So, the hackers, or the bad guys, the attackers out there are also evolving. And before I just get to the answer about how we go in there, I just want to share what I'm seeing in the landscape. And right now, apart from being easy to buy all those email addresses, buy all this, there's actually this new trend where these bad guys are offering malware as a service, ransomware as a service. So you don't even need to be the guy to write the code. You just need to have the intention. I want to do something. I go to the dark web. I find a vendor, right, who will supply me with this bad stuff over there.
Just to add, Leonard, all the incident response cases that I've done this year involving ransomware, all of them are ransomware as a service. So I've not seen the actual hacker who write the software and also doing the hacking at the same time. They're all service providers.
Yeah, that's right. And I guess you can see from my white hair, I've been in industry quite long. And I've also seen this change, right, from the intentions of the attackers, right? So in the early days, they'll just do it for the fun, maybe just bring down some things. But right now, because it's so easy on one hand, so you have, you have commercial folks who want to get in. I want to launch a DDoS attack against my competitor, so they can't do business. I can do business, right? That's one type. We also have the true blue cyber crime gangs, organized crime, those who are doing all this ransomware as a service, where they will go in. They're motivated by money. They don't care who you are. I mean, this year there's been so many cases where they officially says we'll try not to target healthcare because of COVID-19, but these bad guys are still targeting healthcare. People have died because of ransomware. Right. And on the other hand, we also have nation states, right? So there are certain nation states out there who, because they need money, they need financial stuff, they will now launch, they have teams that will try to compromise, and especially targeting financial industries, right? They'll target banks, they'll target financial institutions just to siphon off that money there. There's been, a couple of years ago, there was this big case. I don't think I need to repeat it. We also have got other nation states who are there, just to spread propaganda, spread all these kind of things there. So yes, attacks are getting more sophisticated for the true hardcore ones, but it's also getting easy point of entry to enter into the industry. So as Stephen was saying, right, they are using machine learning. From a vendor point of view, I mean, most of us are also using machine learning in order to target this, right? So gone are the days, right? In Kaspersky, for example, every day we are picking up between 300 to 420,000 new malicious files. These are new strains, not same files not files the same, right? New ones there. There's no way a human can analyze all of this here. So we definitely need to rely on machine learning. So yes,
sorry, some of that are created by my red team, but
so next time let us know, right? Then we can get this.
You upload to Virus Total, is it?
Genesis, you know that this is being recorded.
Well, I mean, it's a known fact that red teams do need to write their own malware, and we kind of generate a new strain kind of every few minutes anyway. So it's kind of okay with Leonard. Yeah, I actually also I think I just want to add on to what Leonard have said. Also, I think that's also quite important. The nation states and actually within last 2 years, our threat intelligence when we and our team when we look at that, the rise of BEC, right, business email compromises. A lot of them also target financial sector people, but they do go for the more low hanging fruit, such as private equity funds, fund house, etc. So those get hit quite heavily, and we see millions and millions of dollars stolen in literally one or 2 weeks time, and that is quite shocking. And also to Stephen's point, they do already use automation on that aspect, because when they do BEC, they typically get the credentials and then they'll get a bot to come in and analyze your email conversations, and then when they realize that there's something nice going on, then a human hacker will come in to step in and do stuff, right? And just a last point, also putting on my blue team hat now. Sorry, I have a lot of hats. I do think the new landscape when it comes to the modern security, obviously Kaspersky is also in the market of endpoint detection and response tools, among other tools. And I think this actually coincides with the fact of how the cloud computing infrastructure are now able to compute a huge amount of data. So now we are looking at Kaspersky and other vendors. Kaspersky can actually receive and analyze the telemetry data from each and every endpoint. So we are not talking about firewalls, switches, servers anymore. We are going down to each and every employee's computers. There is a way to use machine learning to analyze for the malicious behavior in order to detect and stop them. Sometimes, actually many times automatically also, right, Leonard? So that's what I'm also looking at quite a lot also. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I think that's also very interesting. So actually, I also want to follow up to the next question. So other than technology, this is a bit interesting also for maybe Samuel and Stephen. What do you foresee also? Because I think we are looking at a uprise of digital banking in terms of new technology for banking. We're also looking at new cybersecurity defenses. But what about the pressure of regulatory requirements? So how are all these cloud adoption or even EDR solutions on cloud or VB in general? How are there any specific challenges in terms of from regulatory perspective, do you think?
I can supplement on this. Because utilizing the cloud infrastructure, so the regulators has actually put a very heavy assessment on us. So traditionally, we just followed SOC 2 reports and stuff like that, that when the vendors say that it's safe, and we believe it's safe. But now we have to actually walk an extra mile out of the SOC 2 report. We have to check whether they really follow which internal auditors they use and stuff like that. And then for cloud infrastructure, right, we have to walk the extra mile of actually understanding more of the shared responsibility model. And then we were actually required to do a critical service provider drill, because we heavily utilize SaaS applications. So what do this critical service provider drill do is that it's not that our own infrastructure being hacked. Let's say the public cloud was hacked and it's published in the news. Let's say Google Cloud was hacked. So the regulators might ask us, hey, Google Cloud was hacked. You were using Google Cloud infrastructure. So how do you deal with that? So what we do was we deal with our vendors, and then to actually set up a communication channel. And then we actually done an extra assessment, like where is our data? Is it in Hong Kong? Is it in Europe? Is it in the US? Because different countries has different regulations. I try not to go into the GDPR stuff. That is too complicated. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep. So 2 points. One is a shared responsibility model. Number 2 is critical service provider drill, because HKMA, they really look serious into your customer data and stuff in the cloud.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, just to add on before Stephen, I'm also thinking along the side. Do you think how about in terms of talents in this area, because this is really new and uprising? Do we have enough talents in Hong Kong to be able to run such infrastructure effectively? What does it take to solve the problem? My question is.
I don't
Stephen.
have an answer for your questions. And
yeah, it's very hard. Right?
To be honest, it's not only in Hong Kong. We all know that there is lack of
That's true.
talent in the world. yeah, we need to find security talents in Mars or even Venus or any other planet right now. Because there's not enough people that telling enough. Actually, this is a norm. I would like to use the word a norm in the past few years, even past 5 years, in information security industry. We don't have enough information security professionals, and the regulators keep because actually it's the damage and the threat, the cyber threat is increasing in an exponential rate in the past few years. That's why all the regulators, you get just like Simon mentioned, GDPR. Of course, they developed this one like 20 years ago, and finally they get it out a few years ago. Yeah, okay, but in many countries start to think about cyber threats, and that create a dramatic increase in need of talents on cybersecurity. Even though we have a lot of certifications, a lot of trainings to train the new joiner, but I think besides of talent, and also due to we keep talking about COVID-19 today, but it's a top topic. Actually, the cybersecurity landscape also changing due to the technology. And what I want to mention is that I think did anyone notice that actually we are going to a decentralized situations? Right now, we no longer have a 1 or 2 data center. We are in cloud. That means all the
and it has to be multi-cloud also.
Multi-cloud also. Okay, don't drill down like GDPR because and also the same thing is that our cybersecurity protections or the framework no longer talking about like the old times firewall networks. We are now talking about endpoint EDR, just like Leonard mentioned. Things that the EDR and also we are talking. The point is located in every employee's computer. We no longer have centralized areas like the old times. Like I just mentioned in the early days,
caging people up, right?
Caging people in the centralized area. So this is something that the challenge that we are facing, especially due to COVID-19 work from home situation. The whole world is doing the same thing, and we can say that it will change, at least in the coming 1 or 2 years. That you will not suddenly get back to work in office suddenly one day, even though you have a vaccine or something like that. The environment has changed. Then we need to think differently in this world. That's why I'm quite interested that from vendor side that how can help, because as I mentioned, first thing is the speed. Right now, the response time is from maybe 1 day in the past. The regulators allow you to give a report in 24 hours. But right now, no longer for that, because even the attack is within a second. And then the response, the blue team is within a minute.
Absolutely.
And then the regulator will ask you, can you use web tag? Because I want to report it within 1 hour. If you don't use some tools, automated tools, you can't write a report within an hour and send back to them. This is the world changing right
difficult. Yeah, I think just a bit conscious of time. I just want to sum up a little bit of the discussion that we just have. I also see what Stephen has just said, Samuel, Leonard. I think we are fighting a war on a few fronts in terms of so-called us as a cyber professional. On one end, we are dealing with new technologies, which are, by the way, good. We are also dealing with how to better make use of new technology to defend our system. On the other hand, we also do need to meet regulatory requirements on how to, be able to justify that whatever new architecture that we have come up with are actually safe for the financial industry's consumption. So I think just want to sum up on this part on why the in terms of the rise of digital banking, creating new cyber threats, not only on the attacker front, new threats are changing, and also how I would say the talent pool is also stretching to a further, more dry manner, if that makes sense. So anyway, looking at time, I think we have a few minutes for Q&A. So if any of the audience have any questions, please feel free to put that into the Q&A section now. Actually, I'm trying to see if there are any. And if not, please stay after the Q&A also, because Leonard have just a few words to say as well from vendor perspective, and probably that will answer a lot of what Stephen's questions have in mind. Okay.
Yep. I see there's
Alright.
a couple of questions coming in, right? Yeah.
I don't know, actually. I can't.
Okay, since I see it on my screen, maybe I'll read it out. I'll help you to read it out. Okay. So
Sure.
this is a question that came in. I don't quite understand it because I'm not in the banking, but I'll try. What are your views on cyber risk in open banking? How to defend against these cyber attacks? I'm not too sure what open banking is. That's why I can't answer this.
I try to see, is it let me try to see like that. Right now in Hong Kong, Hong Kong is the regulators Hong Kong is encouraging the open API use in banks. Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it the question is talking about like technology like or architecture like open API, things like that. But let me talk about the open API. Actually, is we all know that is another landscape or another front about cybersecurity. Okay, I remember I joined another panel a few weeks before talking about open API, cyber attacks, and all things like that. We are actually facing a lot of challenge on these areas because first of all, we try to open the information and knowledge, not knowledge information from bank to the public to access. Because not only bank, because you can see in different countries talking about like transportation information. You know the bus when the bus come, and you can write a mobile app to collect all the information from all the bus company. So you can write your own app to know how to travel to other place. But for the bank side, because we have different types of regulators, so that makes it is quite important to protect on those attacks against this area. But to be honest, open API or maybe similar to the open banking is actually one of the way to provide banking service. That means that all types of cyber security defense is still applied. Like for example, in open API environment, you still will have DDoS your open API to make your open API not working. And also you have like code injection, because if you don't check your open API parameters, I can inject some code and hijack your server and also things like that. So in certain extent, those overalls and other security standard is usable to the open API platform to protect your banks. So I think that the most important thing in order to answer this question is you need to know what is your country role, what is your most important things in your company in order to plan your cybersecurity defenses mechanism, and to choose the right tools. We have tons of million tools outside in the environment. You can't just bring in all and then say you are safe.
Yeah. Well, Stephen, thank you for the very comprehensive answer. Actually, during my time in UK, I also do see open API being used by financial sector. So I actually fully agree with you on the hacker side. What you need though is people familiar with the subject, how to actually do pen testing on API base. Actually, in some sense, I feel like it's even easier to secure because you are securing at the API rather than when we do pen testing for web application, we have to look at the GUI, how code are sent. But API, we are only looking at the API. Obviously, there will be regulatory concerns and how you manage the data, but then it's still easier because you are at the core of the topic of securing the data rather than thinking about how this GUI could affect the security of a certain function, etc. So I think it's quite a bit more straightforward. Yep. So I hope that answers the audience question. So let's move on to another question. Hi, while employees are working remotely, how can VB ensure customer data is secure? I think this is also for VB to answer. So any one of you?
Can I pass the questions to Leonard? Because I also want to know, is there any product?
Samuel, do you want to say anything before I give my small little views I have on this?
Well, we utilize on tools as well, VPN, VDI and stuff. So it's not the way that we use the tool. It's the way how we design the tools, how we design to use. Like if you can use VDI, but then you need to have a VPN tunnel before you can use VDI. And then, it's how we utilize the tools to be able to remote access. Yep.
Absolutely.
So I guess from a vendor point of view, solutions point of view, definitely we need to rely on the basic tools, your endpoint, your EDRs, make sure that at your endpoint, right now you're at home, right? All you can control is your endpoint. If you can control your VPN to analyze the traffic, that's also only going back to your data center. So you need to be able to monitor your endpoint. So that is one way. That is technology. If the end user tries to do something funny, hopefully the endpoint kicks in. It is able to prevent that kind of any bad stuff happening. But I think another possible scenario, right, is let's say, okay, you're working remotely. I decide, okay, I'm tired from working at home. I go to a coffee shop, I sit down, I work remotely. What is to stop somebody next to you staring at your screen and seeing you work on your customer data? So, I mean, in this kind of cases, to me, and from a vendor point of view, a lot of this boils down to back to the human issues there, right? We need to
awareness,
train, educate. We need to awareness, right? You need to train up all of the end users, make sure that you know what it's doing, make sure that if when you're dealing with confidential stuff, you are in the proper environment, you're not sharing. Even at home, right? I mean, unintentionally, your other half who's in the room may hear you on a conversation things, and that's not very nice, not very good, right? So to me, it's still awareness is also plays an important part in this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I maybe just to supplement a little bit also, and the way how VB or actually I want to extend this answer to the question about what will your recommendation in terms of cybersecurity for new SaaS based startup. So maybe I'll take that as a SaaS based startup, which means basically companies that quite rely on SaaS solutions. So the way I see it, Samuel can supplement me. The way I see it when we do red teaming for such organizations is the fact that they secure the data right at the point where those data are held. So what I mean is when you have SaaS, there are basic things that comes into play. No matter you're working from home, in the office, or anywhere else, when you access those data, you need multi-factor authentication, be it whether it's a certificate-based solution where your corporate laptop helps you to single sign on to those SaaS solutions or not. So again, my recommendation for that in terms of a SaaS startup also is to look at the centralized how the identity management should be. Make sure that strong authentication, multi-factor authentication is being applied at that centralized identity management solution, and then use that to control the access to those applications. And this is very important because when I do red teaming for such organizations, I do run into a very challenging situation. So in the past, say a traditional bank or some other organization, at a certain point of time, I would have obtained the domain admin privilege credential, and I can go after the database, and I can actually potentially dump every row of data out from that database. Then it turns out when I did the same exercise for actually a budget airline, which use quite a lot of SaaS solution, it turns out I can't actually very easily get all the customer data out of the SaaS solution because the database is hosted at the SaaS solution. I don't have DBA access, so I can only look at it row by row. So that's not sexy anymore, in terms of a hacker. You can't, a nation state wouldn't want to come in and get one or two rows of data. They want to get all your data, right? So yeah, I think I hope that also answered that question. Sorry, Samuel, go ahead.
I can supplement on this with 2 points, and in the same time answering Peony's question as well. Is SOC necessary for VB? So for SaaS application, right, I mean, domain-wide listing is the most effective way. Like maybe you're using Salesforce or something else, but then that is publicly accessible. So domain-wide listing means you force your employee to go through your infrastructure and then only you access your SaaS services. That would be control number one. Control number two is, let's say Jenius was saying, obtaining a domain admin credentials and then lateral movement around and stuff like that. I wish to compliment our SOC who has done a great job with an offensive mindset, helping the defensive people. One thing I want to say is about malicious command detection. It means that we always think about assume hack and defense in that. We assume that people already hacked in. So what do they do after they hack in? Like what Jenius said, you run some commands, you add yourself, you might add a new user, you might run a PowerShell download string or a wget command, and our SOC are able to detect that and then alert us, and then we have a response procedure. So that is one of the examples about defense in that.
Absolutely. So behavioral, having a team of people 24/7 look at where the malicious behavior are, that's absolutely important for VB, actually, in fact, for all organizations to be honest, right? All right, so maybe
just to add on, to this, right? So I've been through the journey where I've from a SaaS vendor to a non-SaaS vendor, and I think just some advice I have also for the audience out there. Not everybody's in a VB, in a digital bank. A lot of them are still in traditional banks and may not have adopted SaaS, right? So just a piece of advice is, just because it is SaaS and you can't see it doesn't mean you're not responsible for it as well, right? So it's like what Samuel was saying, and what Stephen was talking about, HKMA, how they are making sure you do your due diligence. Same thing, just because it's a SaaS vendor, do not make the assumption that everything is great just because you can't see it. You need to treat it. It's still your own data, your customers' data there. If the SaaS vendor doesn't treat things well, they may go out of business, but you yourself may also go out of business.
Absolutely.
So that's advice over there. Yeah.
There's a balance down there also. So anyway, I'm going to pick up a question that I can answer for once. So Kenzo have a question about any purple team drill was being performed before. Actually, this is very important. Also to Samuel's point about a SOC that is an offensive mindset. So we have done quite a bit of quite a few purple teaming starting from last year and this year. So typically we use the MITRE ATT&CK framework, which is really a kind of a bible of all the possible attack techniques that are available on the available to us as attackers. So when we run purple teaming, actually we see that quite a beneficial exercise for the blue team to enhance the blue team. The reason is when we run through this playbook of attack techniques, we will derive the defenses at the same time implementing them as preventive controls or detective controls within SOC or EDR solutions. So to Kenzo's question, yes, that was done, and that was done. Some VBs have done it also. I can say for a fact as well. And that's actually quite important. And also speaking from my experience in UK, so I've worked there. So Samuel will know. Stephen will know also. I've worked there for a year on Secondment, and actually they have. So they to be honest, they started the implementation of EDR solutions quite a few 2 years, 3 years earlier than what we do in Asia. And when I was there was this the purple teaming has become quite a major thing, because tools like EDR solutions, they're kind of nice, but they are not as out of the box as, say, antivirus solutions. So they do need a kind of a threat hunting or offensive guy to come in and do the fine tuning to make it effective, to be able to really integrate that operationally into the environment. And there's a lot of purple teaming going on in UK. And when I did CBAS kind of red team testing for them, it makes a big difference between whether an organization have simply purchased EDR versus another organization that have purchased EDR plus have done purple teaming to enhance the EDR rules. So that is a very, very, very important for that. for me. So so actually again very short of time. I want to give Leonard his time, but I'll just quickly answer the last two questions here. How to be a red teamer? I think really just to be creative, think out of the box, and I think look at some of the certifications out there. OSCP is still one of the beginner ones that we thought are really good to start someone on the same path. But be it red teaming is a lot about experience rather than only the technical skill sets. The reason is you need to have the experience in different environments in order to get the hang of where are the low-hanging fruits in various environments. And my thoughts on automated penetration testing solutions, I think my thought currently is still a bit 50-50. I do think there can be some I do think there can be some, it can be leveraged in certain things like purple teaming, because when some of those attack playbooks can potentially be automated, and on the other hand, you can look at the blue team perspective, but I don't think it can do a full end-to-end red team kind of automation. The reason is in such a scenario, we are really testing the blue team. We are trying to be stealthy, and that's not what automated tools are good at. So that would be my answer to this. So okay, I think we have pretty much covered all the questions. So thank you, Samuel, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Leonard, for all your time. And please stay on. Leonard have some words to give us also from his expertise in terms of. So over to you, Leonard.
Okay, so thanks again, Jenius, for moderating. Thanks, Stephen, Samuel, for being great, sharing your great ideas. So just a couple of slides. Just wanted to share from a Kaspersky point of view what kind of solutions we have. I mean, we heard about all of the threats, all of the issues. I won't take too much time, right? We're running out of time as well. So this is me. Basically, from a Kaspersky point of view, the solutions, we have a whole range of solutions, like what I was talking about in my introduction, everything from foundations all the way up to experts. But specifically, I mean, most of you or the audience are in the financial sector. So I've actually just narrowed down some of the solutions which I think would be very helpful to financial organizations. So 6, actually I missed out one, which is security awareness over there. So that's actually a 7th one, security awareness, which I talked about earlier, where we need to make sure that, even the common user is aware of all the security implications of things. You have your basics, things like your endpoint security, make sure your endpoints are secure. Right now, like what Samuel was talking about, where a lot of things are in the cloud, make sure that you can protect your public cloud, private cloud workloads. At the end of the day, like what I was saying, right, just because you can't see your server doesn't mean you don't need to take care of the security, right? The regulators still said, I don't care, it's your server, whether it's in the cloud, it's in your private data center, sitting on your desk, it is still your server. You still need to apply the same kind of compliance policies over to it there as well, right? We definitely have got threat management and defense, our EDR tools, our advanced threat detection tools over there. One thing I want to highlight is on our cybersecurity services. So threats out there are getting more and more, and it's getting hard to process. So I think financial organizations definitely need to consider some sort of threat intelligence service. You need to know what is happening out there before you actually find out the hard way where it happens to you. So to me, this is like, let your other person, let some other company there get hit first. You learn about it, it goes into a threat feed. You better protect yourself and don't get impacted by that. So threat intelligence is definitely useful there. And assessment, right? Assessment services, like what Jenius was talking about, the red teaming, pen testing. Right now, if being virtual, you need to assess, not only the infrastructure that you own, your public cloud, and even applications, right? Like what I was talking about. Is it possible human mistakes in writing the code in the first place, right? So, code assessments as well over there. Okay. We also have 2 additional services. One of them is fraud prevention. Right now, digital banking, virtual banking, you don't really see the customers. So you need to make sure that, when they do authentication, that, that they are secure, is frictionless, and as well as you can protect against session fraud. Right? You do not want to have a case where there's some user logging in from Hong Kong, another one logging in from Sweden, 5 minutes apart from each other. There is something wrong over there. So fraud prevention tools are definitely needed. And the last one that I have mentioned over here is a scan engine. So you're wondering what in the world is this scan engine? Again, right now, everything is digital. You need to get your users, when they sign up for a bank, they need to upload, they need to send documents there. how do you know that these files, these documents are actually secure and not malicious there? So as the point of file enters into the portal, make sure that they are scanned, okay? So very quickly, I just had to wrap up all of this in interest of time. If you need more information, we have our territory manager in Hong Kong, Tony. This is his email contact. Do look out for him. Send him an email. My email address was given earlier as well. In the recordings, you can see it. Hook me up on LinkedIn or anything we can discuss further. Okay, so I guess once again, I just want to thank Jenius, Stephen, Samuel. Thank you for a wonderful discussion that we had. And I guess that's it for today. Unless any of the panelists have anything else you want to add on. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, really enjoy this. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Stephen, Samuel. Let's catch up again soon. And Leonard, catch up in Singapore when I do see you. I do look forward to come back to Singapore, actually.
Yep. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Take
Thank
care.
you very much.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.